And good thing, it's 8 minutes past 11. Tony Blackburn here with you through to 1 o'clock. We often hear from the Panto stars, but what about the people working away behind the curtain? What goes on into putting on a Panto? Julian Hurst from SouthHillPark Arts Centre in Bracknell has directed the annual Panto for the last few years and also often takes part on stage as well. And he's here with me now. And you quite often the dame.
Yeah, the last few years I've played dame. Yeah.
Do you like that? Or?
Yeah, it gets a bit addictive
changes,
after a while, yeah.
Yeah. You like walking around in women's clothes.
Yeah, but the bit I don't like is you have to get to the theatre before everybody else because you've got the wig and the makeup and the all the stuff to put on. So that's a bit of a pain. But yeah, it's a great thing to do. Yeah, it is
a good part, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always think with pantomimes, the worst part is sometimes the lead, isn't it? Playing Cinderella or something like that. The goody-goody part. It's always better to play the...
Yeah, well, actually, the lead part is very often, from an actor's point of view, the worst part in the show because they've got to stay in character, they've got to play it straight to give all the other characters something to bounce off.
Yes.
But it's like a good double act. You need the straight man.
Yeah, absolutely. So what this year at the Arts Centre, it's Aladdin, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, we open on Saturday, and
you're directing it.
I'm directing it and playing Ebenezer this year, and it's great to play the baddie. Great fun because and it's of course the antithesis of playing the dame.
Yes.
So you get all the nice sneering and booing and hissing and things lobbed at you. Well, hopefully not lobbed at you.
Not lobbed at you too much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So tell us about behind the scenes of a pantomime like this. How does it start? You have to get all the actors together, presumably.
Yeah.
Being the director.
Absolutely.
And it starts in the summer, does it, for you?
Well, we did Snow White last Christmas, and we actually had the first production meeting for Aladdin the week after we closed. So for me, it starts in January. So it starts with looking at what worked well last year, what perhaps could have been developed a little bit more, and then because we have a chorus of 10 community-based junior actors in each performance. Which means we have to have 30 because you have to have 3 teams.
Yes.
And there's all the child welfare stuff to sort out. So we recruit them in May, which gives us the summer holidays to get licences issued and chaperones arranged.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare, because my wife works at Sylvia Young Theatre School, handling children, and sometimes getting the rights to do them, because there's so many different things you can't do, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Got to be off the stage at a particular time.
Absolutely, yeah. And we had our first dress rehearsal last night, and you'll know yourself as a star of pantomime on many occasions, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, the first dress rehearsal can be a little bit problematic, one or two costume changes and what have you, but the children have to be out of the theatre on the dot of 10 o'clock.
That's right,
and if you haven't finished, tough, they're out the door.
Yeah.
We made it with about 10 minutes to spare last night, so
that's pretty good.
Very positive.
How's it going? How did the rehearsal go?
It's going really well. We've got a great cast this year. We always have a good cast at SouthHillPark, because personally as a director I think it is about the casting. It's about getting the right people together who get on really well, because we're going to spend 5 weeks closeted together in the green room, and if the cast get on well together backstage, that transmits itself to the audience on stage.
Absolutely. So, and it's a tough thing to do, pantomime as well. I mean, are you doing 3 shows a day sometimes?
We don't do any 3 shows days this run, fortunately, because you get to the third performance of the day and you just don't know where you are. You know, have I said that already? Why did
I'll be honest with you. I used to play buttons, and by the third performance, I couldn't give a damn if she got to the bull or not. It is tiring.
Yeah, but I mean, I've gone on and told a joke and thought, well, I wonder why they didn't laugh, and then realised I actually told it in the first half. Yeah. You know, but anyway.
Well, I've actually stood on the side of the stage and thinking there's something missing there. And I think, oh God, I should be on. On the third performance. It is very tiring.
Yeah, but we still do 60 performances, so it's 2 shows a day. It's pretty relentless. Yeah.
As a director, then you start casting as soon as you finish the first one as well, and you decide on which panto to do as well, because I mean there's a limited number, obviously, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm freelance, so SouthHillPark decides what the show is going to be, and you know, Aladdin Cinderella. There are certain, big pantomimes.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty, which is next year.
Jack and the
Actually,
Beanstalk.
get the plug-in quick.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Sleeping Beauty, is it?
yeah. Sleeping Beauty next year.
I like Jack and the Beanstalk. I quite like that one.
Yes.
What's the one with the duck that lays golden eggs?
That's Mother Goose.
Mother Goose, that's right. Yeah,
which
I've done one of
a
those.
few
That's
theatres
quite
are doing this year, actually, because it fell a little bit by the wayside, Mother Goose, but it seems to be making a comeback.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So they decide. So the first thing to do is to get the script, and it's not about just the script, it's the bits of business, and I'm a great believer. Now, it's nice to have a slapstick routine, and we've got several of those in our show, but for me, it can't just be in isolation. It's got to continue and follow the narrative and progress the story, and it's how do you actually seamlessly put those into the show without it standing out and jarring with the audience.
Do you write the scripts yourself or not?
No, our scripts are written by a very talented gentleman called Bart Lee, who is Wokingham based. He's written the pantomime.
Because, you've got the main thing. Aladdin comes on, rubs the old lamp, and the genie comes up and things like that. But within that, you have to put topical gags in, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
But don't necessarily go over the heads of the... You either play a pantomime, I think, for the children... And some gags will go over their heads, and hopefully the mums and dads will enjoy it, but not sort of go too far.
We virtually do two different shows, because for the first 2 weeks of the run, it's mainly schools parties.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you have to bear in mind with schools parties is there's a coach waiting outside because they've got to be back for their school dinners at 1 o'clock. So you can't overrun. You can't overrun. You've got to be quite strict on time. When you get to the public performances, you can be a little bit more relaxed and what have you. But again, you do have to be very careful about ad-libs and innuendo, because children aren't as innocent as they used to be.
Absolutely not.
If they don't understand the joke, they can go home and Google it. And we do get complaints.
Really? I know. People love complaining, don't they?
Yeah.
We'll talk about the adult one that you're doing, and also the signing one a little bit later on. But right now, here's Cyndi Lauper. And Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Do they? Oh, yes. Berkshire with Cyndi Lauper there, and Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It's 19 minutes past 11. We're talking pantomimes, of course, because they're opening up all over the place now. And Julian Hurst is in Panto and he's the director of the Panto at the South Hill Arts Centre in Reading, and indeed opens up on Saturday as well. And the rehearsal, you got another rehearsal before? You've done a dress run.
We've done one dress run last night, but we have to have 2 more dress runs because we've got 3 teams of children. Of course, they have to have a dress rehearsal each, so we get 2 more goes at getting it right.
Nuisance having to have children in Panto,
absolutely. Yeah. But they're brilliant. They're brilliant. And we're so lucky. I mean, we audition almost 200 children and get it down to 30, so the ones that are in are absolutely tip-top. And because I've done the last few years, I've got girls and a couple of boys who have done the last 2 years, so they know me, I know them, we get on really well. The sad thing is I suspect a couple of them will be off to university next year, but that's
getting too big.
But
that's the thing.
But that's a great opportunity to get some new blood into.
A lot of talented kids around now, aren't there?
Absolutely.
It really is. Probably because of all the reality shows and the X Factor. Everybody wants to be a singer and in pantos and things like that. And it's really good training, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant! Because with another hat on, I train people in presentation skills, and a lot of people just can't do it and are really, really frightened of standing up and speaking in public. But if you've done a panto or you've done community theatre or whatever, then that's not a problem, and it's really helpful to people in business life.
You were saying that children are much more grown up nowadays, which they are. I think they do grow up much quicker, don't they? Has that made a difference to pantomimes? Have you had to adjust them at all, or is the simplicity of them and ghosts behind your back? Oh no, he isn't.
Oh, that still works. Yeah, absolutely. One of the problems that is always timing that right, because you don't want them shouting out and miss an important piece of the narrative, and again, that's one of the tricks about getting that all right. But I think, children are a lot more knowing now in terms of the material.
But they still get into the humour.
But they still get into the humour, and they still like all, and he's behind you, and all.
And they
the rest
fidget
of it.
during the singing.
Well, again, we're really lucky because our show is all original music.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And it's written by a guy called Ron McAllister.
Yeah.
Very engaging, and but it is a family show, and you've got to put something in to appeal to the mums and dads and the grandmas and the aunties and what have you, and the music is an integral part of that. So hopefully they won't fidget too much.
As the director of the pantomime, what are the problems for you? Is it getting the scenery right and the lighting and all the rest of it? Because you have to do all of that, don't you?
Yeah.
And there's very little rehearsal time for pantos usually.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks is all we get. Yes, it can be problematic, but again, it just like casting the right cast, it's about getting the right team of technicians around you. And again, SouthHillPark technicians are absolutely brilliant. I've worked with them for the last few years, so we know each other, and particularly taking part in the show, I rely really heavily on the company manager, the choreographer and the musical director, because a lot of the time I'm on stage and I need them to give feedback to me on my direction. And it's a real team effort.
And one of the nightmares of pantomime I've always found is that you're all sort of together in a theatre for that time, and there's always somebody who gets the flu.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually in our...
It's this time of year, isn't it?
It's in our contract that we all have to have a flu jab.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're just not allowed to be ill. We have a stock of buckets that we can put in strategically in the wing in case anybody gets a tummy bug. So, you know...
It is a difficult time of year, isn't it? And it's a very tough thing to do, pantomime, as well. You know, it's very strenuous.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing a pantomime this year for the over-18s as well. One performance, is that right?
Yeah, we've never done it before, and we thought we'd try it, and it's selling really, really well. But we were just conscious that sometimes you say to people, we're doing pantomime, while I don't have any children. And it's a bit of a shame. Or there are people who say, well, I would like to come to a pantomime, but I find it very distracting with lots of children fidgeting and talking and things. So we thought, well, let's try it. And it also means that in terms of ad-libs to the audience, we can perhaps be a little bit more
adult.
Free.
Yes.
We have to bear in mind, of course, though, that we still have 10 children on stage with us.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But once they're locked away in the dressing room...
you can really go for
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that is on the 28th, I do believe. I think.
No,
it's not. No, it's
19th.
the 19th. Yeah. And you're also doing one as well for signing.
That's right, yes.
Well.
Again, we're very aware that, SouthHillPark, the Wild Theatre at SouthHillPark, it is a community venue.
Yes.
And we want everybody to come and enjoy the show. So, yes, we have a signer who comes and stands at the side of the stage and signs the performance, which can be quite distracting for the first couple of minutes, but then...
Yes.
You know, you just don't notice that she's there, and quite how she copes, or he, I don't know who it's going to be this year, how they cope with, because, yes, they've seen the script, but there is a lot of free ad-libbing and what have you, and I'd find it fascinating that they're able to do that.
So that's just a one-off performance,
Just
is it? That
one-off,
It's on a Saturday afternoon, I know.
That's right.
And you've got the 18... How is the... I mean, you haven't got a name in the pantomime, and one or two pantomimes now are not... Apart from yourself,
Yes,
of course.
yes. I'm a legend in my own lunchtime, Tony.
But you haven't got a sort of somebody... You know, quite often they have people who just won or not won the X Factor and people from reality shows.
Yeah.
But you don't... And I always find that quite often they're awful because they can't sing, they can't act. And there's no point, but they draw the crowds in. But
absolutely.
You find you can do it without...
Yeah, we have very talented professional actors, and yes, personally speaking, I would rather work with
professional
them
people
in the main, because they're very flexible. They know how to handle an audience and what have you. And quite a few people that have been at SouthHillPark go on to be famous. Eleanor Blackburn, who was the runner-up in the How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria, she was in the last production of Aladdin we did many years ago. Another colleague of mine, Mark Raymond, who's done loads of shows at SouthHillPark, is currently in China on the world tour of Sound of Music, playing Captain Van Trapp. So come and see them at SouthHillPark before they get famous.
And if they want to come back, tell them that they're not in, that they haven't got room for them as well. Yeah. Julian Hurst, thank you very much. It opens on Saturday at the South Hill Arts Centre. It's Aladdin, and tickets are selling well. So
they are selling well, but we do still have tickets available for this weekend. So phone the box office and they'll sort you out with some.
Excellent. This is Chris Farlow, out of time. Perfect voiceover.